you better believe we have stuff to talk about today, man. First off, I just want to say it's 2021 and we just found out that what we suspected about the Aaliyah situation was true. Right? You guys have read that in the news. Everything that we thought and everything that her friends suspected, which is basically, if she did not want to get on that plane, she would not have gone on that plane. So the truth comes out, right, decades later, that Aaliyah was drugged. Aaliyah was drugged and put on that plane, something that we all knew, but now we have it. How much time has to pass before we find out the truth? When that story broke, that's the question that I had. I thought, how many people have to die, or what kind of legislation changes? What kind of strings and weird Hollywood footwork is involved in releasing the truth, right? Like, why now? Why now is my question. Okay, I heard some pretty big news as soon as it broke today, and my question again was why now, and this time I actually got an answer. Okay, so today I learned a very horrific thing about Mr. Bob Dylan, and it shocked me only because I haven't heard many stories about his past. But listen, he was 24 years old. This girl was 12. He had groomed her, which means he knew her before she was 12. Groomed her, drugged her, did all kinds of horrible things I don't want to talk about. And now he's getting hit with the charges. But guess when this happened? 1965 at the Chelsea Hotel. So you can imagine why I was like, why now? And then I got my answer. Well, now I've gone and fact-checked myself, and I've realized that I had a couple of things wrong. So Governor Cuomo did sign the Child Victims Act. What I find odd is that I thought they were extending it infinitely. But initially the Child Victims Act he signed, which was described as like pulling his arm, only went into effect for a 1-year look-back window. Okay, so for 1 year, you could have until your 55th birthday to report a child sex abuse crime. But this is like a 1-year window for everyone to come forward on matters that would have usually been dismissed. So my question is like, why for only 1 year? And when I've looked into this, other states have lengthened their span of time to cover multiple years, because it does take a lot of time for victims to come forward, and it's just not realistic to think that in a 1-year time period. It looks like he did sign something good, but only for a year. It's like, wait, what? So like, why do it in the first place if you're only going to do it for a year? Like, why not do it for 2 years? Why not do it for 3 years? Why not do it infinitely? What do you guys think? Oh, also, on that note, the Child Victims Act has also scared the clergy. How do you spell archdiocese? Yeah, there you go. Because let me tell you what the church did. The church thought it was cool to just come up with this very organized plan of, how did they put it? So since the Child Victims Act came out, there's been at least 2,800 lawsuits filed so far against Catholic institutions in New York, okay? So the Child Victims Act of 2019 was to take place for only a year, and then it was extended for another year due to the coronavirus pandemic. Because why the fuck not? Coronavirus. Blame coronavirus. Whenever you don't have an answer, just say coronavirus about everything. That's what people do. So of those lawsuits, over 700 have been filed against the Archdiocese of New York, bro. the whole religious organization, the whole Catholic religion basically was like forming this system where they were to reimburse. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, that was the word that they used. Gross, right? They worded it as like a reimbursement program. I'm really not surprised. But yeah, it's fucking up the church. Because they, I guess, already thought they had it all ironed out. I mean, it's what we've been hearing about the church for years. What else can I say about that? They just keep filing complaints. I'm sure it's a similar thing with like the Boy Scouts, although I think the Boy Scouts had some kind of organized lawsuit where they did like, yeah, they do like a bulk settlement. It's, I don't know, it's weird to think about that they've affected that many people too. Boy Scouts of America settles for $850 million with more than 84,000 sexual abuse victims. Yeah, the Boy Scouts. So I guess collectively they are all getting $850 million. So I guess the church was maybe trying to come up with something similar, but I don't think they came up with that kind of cash. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I just needed to correct myself there because I had it kind of wrong. And little nuggets are just going to be dropping out of the sky. He was 24, she was 12 years old. He's being charged with so many things, false imprisonment being one of them. I'm going to read the charges. You know, they already came out with the Steven Tyler story and no one seemed to care. Let's see if anyone gives a shit about this. 12-year-old is a little bit younger than a 16-year-old, even though what Steven Tyler did was equally as disgusting. Yeah. Gave her alcohol and drugs over a 6-week period. So basically he held her, he kidnapped her. Yeah, a 12-year-old doesn't have the fucking chance to consent. So anyway, this woman is going to be suing for damages. She now lives with extreme PTSD, and I think that Dylan should be at least accountable for her psychological treatment, all of her medical bills, because of one of his selfish actions, she's had to live with a whole lifetime of PTSD and other mental issues, and it's just not right. So I have mixed feelings about this law. I feel like it could be a good thing, but I also feel like it could get maybe a little ridiculous when it comes to holding people accountable, and you want to talk back to 1965. I mean, does this make sense? It makes sense in this instance, okay? Like, I believe in this story. I believe that he did the wrong thing here. But for the future, do we think this is a good thing? Because we've noticed that if someone is the target of cancel culture, like, you can make them look guilty of anything, right? I mean, there's also a lot of selfish people out there that want to exploit other people. So that's a problem. But in this particular case that I'm hearing about, Bob Dylan with this 12-year-old, there were so many things that went down back then that people were not held accountable for. It's just kind of ridiculous that, like, it just literally depends where you live as to how much justice you get, like, as to how much the law gives a shit about you. So California is like, I feel like they always favor the conservator, the powers that be, the people in charge. People in charge. What was that movie, Risk Cutters, from a while ago? She was like, have you seen The People in Charge? They were just Tom Waits. It was like, I don't know if it was gods or whatever, but they were just like the people in charge. They were like the people in charge. PIC. No, that doesn't sound right. It was something else, but I don't know. It was cute. Anyway, I like that girl. What was her name? She had short hair. It was cute. Anyway, I really had to just let that out because that is some crazy shit. And also, like, be prepared for the little nuggets of truth as they fall. New York in 1965. I never thought I could be grateful to Governor Cuomo for anything, but I am grateful that it is due to him getting caught up in this, that's why the legislation changed. So even bad people, I guess, can accomplish good things, you know, if they're just in a different kind of way. Anyway, I haven't posted in a long time because honestly, you guys, I have a lot of videos going, but I just don't feel, I don't know, I've been feeling self-conscious recently about the stuff that I'm talking about. So right now I'm just like giving you a quick thing of the news that I got today and what I think of it. So those of you that know me and like me, missed you. Thank you for watching. And you know, I'm thinking about putting up a longer video. I'm trying to gauge. I think it's a pretty good idea, but you know, I just doubt myself because that's my job. So I need internet validation. So let me just tell you my idea now. It's called the Oregon Trail Media Project. Okay, so I want it to be based around the Oregon Trail generation, which is, let me put it this way. If you're not a boomer and you're not a millennial, you're probably what I would call Oregon Trail generation. Other people call it, what do they call it? Gen X, or they have other words for it. But I like Oregon Trail generation because we were the generation that grew up playing Oregon Trail in the computer room, right? We grew up learning computers from the very, very basics of like MS-DOS. So that puts us in a very niche generation. Also, not many people were born during this period. I think it was like between 1975 and 1985. Although, you know, this is something that historians debate all the time. Anyway, I was wondering if anyone else would be interested in this idea because so far I'm having fun with it. I started going back through some of the most impactful media from our time. Movies, songs, anything that we grew up with that had a impression on us, and I kind of want to make it a series where we go through different pieces of media and talk about what we pulled away from them. This is something that I kind of started doing in 2020. What I was really looking at was breaking down my life by certain influences and how much my thoughts have changed now. So I thought it might be interesting to go back to these old pieces of media with a new outlook. I mean, the list comes from my favorites, my friends' favorites, all the way to when I started reading more about MK Ultra this year, and I have a list of media from that as well. Some of the older Disney movies. Wizard of Oz was the #1 program. Number 2, Alice in Wonderland is mentioned a lot. And then there's also some paperwork that goes through some of the earlier Disney movies, stuff like Sleeping Beauty, Snow White. So I do want to cover a lot of these things, but I also want to cover songs. And I think if I do that, I'll be able to keep a fairly consistent schedule. Shows, songs, movies, anything that impacted us or that we thought was interesting or weird or maybe helped us form part of our personality. The first one that I did, though, I'll tell you, it was a Labyrinth video. It did get copyrighted, so I fixed it, and I'll probably release that soon. I'm hoping that you guys like it. If not, maybe it'll just be a one-off, but I definitely want to do a song after that, so that'll be something shorter and something different, but just the idea that I'm playing around with right now. Yeah, I had to drop that news because that news is insane. I'm sorry. Like, what the fuck is going on in this world? This is me. That's me. Yeah, I have quite a few videos. I just hold on to them because I'm like still a little self-conscious about what I should share and what I should not. Because I do a lot of video journal almost type stuff. Like, it helps me in that way. So a lot of stuff I end up editing out is just beneficial for me. I'm gonna stop rambling. and talking with my mouth full. And I'll see you guys later.